Did you know the more games you played on your PlayStation 2, the more glowing towers were added to the console's startup screen? And the longer you played, the higher those towers climbed. You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. For the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos, and opinions, make sure you visit TheXboxHub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, and welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode number 38. My name's Gareth Briley. I'm going to be your host, and on my virtual left, as always, is Mr. James Burks. How you doing, James?
Good evening, sir.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Good. Very good, thank you. Very good. And on my virtual right is Mr. William Cariona. I've not said it right again, have I? Tell
Caruana.
me. Caruana. Why do I every time struggle? How you doing, William?
I'm doing good.
What's the temperature like in Toronto? William's in Canada for no.
It's been cold lately, sub-zero temperatures, but it's a Canadian winter at this point. So.
Wow. Well, I went to Toronto once, and I just noticed that all the shops felt like they were inside the big buildings. And I thought, this is a city designed for those winters.
It is.
Yeah, lovely place. Okay, we're going to move straight into now. We're going to talk about the PS5. We did the Xbox Series X last week. We're going to talk about the PlayStation 5, which launched in the UK today, the day we're recording, the 19th. But William has had his PlayStation since Monday of this week, because in Canada it got released on the 12th. So he'll have a bit more of an insight, a bit more feel of it. James hasn't got a PlayStation 5, have you, James?
No, unfortunately not.
You don't want
You keep reminding me.
You don't want one, though, do you, at the moment?
No, I don't.
No.
I'm not bothered.
No.
Not yet.
I don't know why I got mine, but I was in the thrill of it after we did our podcast, and I got it, and it's turned up now.
If you, for those listeners who remember that episode, I'd been a bit skeptical of the system, but once I heard that Demon Souls was coming day one, I think that was what pushed me over the edge. And needless to say, I do not regret my decision, as you'll learn later on.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the launch in the UK. How was the launch in Canada? First of all, what was it like? Was it chaos? Was it okay?
It was a disaster. So not only were things regularly selling out, we have scalpers right now who are selling consoles and getting robbed or robbing people. We've had numerous incidents of delays. Walmart delayed theirs till today in many instances. I ordered through Best Buy, and the reason I got it on Monday and many others did is they shipped it out from a whole other province, despite having a Toronto fulfillment center. Like, they have done things that boggle the mind with the launch of this here. But in terms of incidents, it seems, knock on wood, many people here haven't had issues with their system. I haven't. Mm-hmm. So that's good, at least.
James, have you heard any UK horror stories today? I think I heard a few.
I've not heard any horror stories,
right.
But I've heard about some pretty big partnerships going on. I mean, they've got Greg's doing a deal with a PlayStation meal box.
Wow.
That's exciting.
That's good.
2 sausage rolls and 2 donuts.
And a PlayStation?
For a $5.
Wow.
No, you don't get the PlayStation.
Okay, good.
That's what you're going to mess up while you're eating all this stuff.
Right. That's good. I like that. Partnership deals.
Yeah.
I think the stories I heard, I think Curry's, which is one of the stores, had a queue of 150,000 people waiting to try to get stock today.
How many?
150,000 people strong in the queue.
Oh my God.
I think people who've ordered from Game have had problems because they're not going to get it on delivery day. And some of that is to do with Yodel, who's the delivery firm here, saying the things are just too big. They're bigger than they thought they were going to be in the package. So that's causing problems with the delivery. Yeah.
Is it too hard for them to throw over the gate or throw into gardens?
Yeah,
Allegedly.
yeah, exactly. But let's just go straight into that, because let's talk about the size of the thing. William, what's your thoughts on it?
I'll put it this way: I'm not the fittest of men. I have something of a beer belly, a Molson muscle, as we call it. I'm 6 foot tall, and this thing is as big as my torso. It's massive, 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 massive.
Yeah, it's a huge. I mean, we talked last week about the Xbox Series X, and we were quite surprised. I think the three of us. It was quite weighty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm looking now under my TV, and I've got this all going on. I've got the Xbox Series X, and I've got the PlayStation. The PlayStation is just dwarfing it. It just looks. The Xbox Series X looks like a little calculator compared to the PlayStation at the moment. It's a big old thing, and I struggled getting it out of the actual box. I was really struggling to pull it out for a while. Yeah, it's a big old machine. Do you like it? Do you like the look of it, William? Do you like the way it looks?
I've never been too fond of the aesthetic of it. I think it looks better on its side. Looking at it right now, it's a bit more plasticky looking in person than it looks in the renders. But that said, what I like about it, it's quiet. It does fit into my entertainment system. And in terms of aesthetics, I really do and size, I really do think those are the weakest points of this system. But it still looks fairly decent. Its build quality seems to be very good, which is important. And yeah,
it looks like I had a Skybox in 2006, and it looks a bit like that. It's very It's so let's talk about what we got. What you get with it? You get the machine. You get the controller, which we'll talk about in a second. You get the HDMI cable, and also, which is great, I always love this with PlayStation, you get the charger for the remote control, which is always a brilliant thing. Wish Xbox would do that. And shall we just go on to the controller first of all, and how that plays? It's a good thing, the controller, isn't it? It's a big upgrade, isn't it, from the last one?
Oh my God, yes.
Should we talk about the features of it now? Let's just talk about what you can do, which everyone knows about, but it's when you play, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something that doesn't. It's harder to describe, but once you feel it, you get why there's the hype behind it. It's very impressive.
And just the feel of it in your hands, it's very much like it has the same, because the Xbox Series X controller is really nice design as well, but it's not much of a change, not a huge amount of change. Yep. This is a complete reshape, I think, isn't it? It feels much more like an Xbox controller in the way it feels in the hands. But you've got these the sound. The sound is coming from the controller as well, isn't it? The microphone. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. I didn't hear it too often because the 3D Pulse headset, the PS5 headset that came with, is noise cancelling. But when I took them out and I'm hearing through, it's like, yeah, there's a microphone there, and it's making noise.
It's quite what was quite off. There was one thing I realised. I sort of loaded the game up, and then my phone rang, and I switched the TV off, and of course it was still making noise because it was coming through my controller. But I was on the phone. I was like, oh yeah.
You can turn off your TV?
I can turn off my TV.
Oh, okay, because mine is set up in a way it uses a modern HDMI cable. And so mine actually will turn on the TV when it's turned on and will go into rest mode when it's turned off, when the TV is turned off. It's actually really, really interesting. Yeah.
Okay. But the great thing is, which I really liked, of course, a really simple thing, and I think you play Astrobot, which we'll talk about in a minute. The first game to play is it really tests what the controller can do, and the great thing is just the feel of that and going into different environments. So, James, for example, when it starts to rain, you start to feel the tip tap like on the controller through your hands. of like it's raining.
That's nice.
Yeah. When you're going through a kind of more almost a kind of sludge, it has a vibration that feels like you're going slowly, or
And
You
they
get the
slow
haptic
the
feedback.
triggers a bit. Yeah.
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 It's really, really good. It's a brilliant bit of design.
So it's a next gen controller.
It really is an
It's a
that's
proper
it.
next
It's
gen.
a proper
Yeah.
next gen.
Yeah.
My only hope is that games will use it.
Yes.
And it's
Yep.
great to have an Astrobot, and probably the first couple of games you'll talk about Spider-Man in a minute, and it's whether people will carry on using it, especially for the Sony's first-person games, first
First party.
first party, yeah.
I mean, this is sort of the evolution of what started arguably with 6-axis back with the PS3, and then you have the gyroscope and the touchpad with the DualShock 4. I think it's important that they incentivize supporting this, because especially, as PCs become more powerful, as Xbox's tools make it that they pull ahead in the power game, it's a question of what distinguishes why should someone who has multiple systems buy the PS5 version. Now, what they can do is buy exclusive modes for Call of Duty, but what I think is far more interesting is really pushing this haptic feedback, because you cannot get this anywhere else.
Yeah.
And it's really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You even, James, you get a point when you can blow into the controller.
Yes.
So if there's this one section, isn't it? I think it's like to get a fan going or an umbrella going. I think I was doing it, and it's like
fan.
You blow to make it move.
Can I just buy the controller? Put it into the Xbox. Well, that might work.
Yeah. It's
now this is sorry.
No, you
this
say
is just a warning for our listeners. If you are wearing a headset with a microphone, you need to blow into that microphone's headset, or unplug your headset, or mute your headset's mic, because it will not recognize the mic on the controller unless you do that. I learned that the hard way. I'm like, oh no, I've got busted DualSense. What's going on? No, I unplugged it and it worked just fine. But yeah.
Now, William, can I move on to headsets first of all? Can you use a Bluetooth headset with this machine?
I think so. I'm not exactly certain.
Because there's mixed reports on the internet, and I can't get my one working. But yeah, I need to. But I've only had a small time with it, so I need to have a little look at it.
Yeah, the only Bluetooth headset I have is a cheap $20 Amazon thing. So
Okay.
I couldn't tell you. I've been using the 3D Pulse that comes with the system. Sorry, no, it doesn't come with the system. Sorry, it was made for the system.
You're right. Okay.
And so the one thing I'll say as well is the Tempest 3D audio that people have been talking about, the 3D audio.
Yeah.
I can't seem to get that to work when my headset is wireless, but it does work when it's plugged in to the controller.
Okay.
So I think that might just be a minor firmware thing.
And
because it works when it's plugged in.
And let's talk about the audio through the headsets. What's it like?
It's solid all around.
Okay.
I think there are certain showcases for it, like Times Square in Spider-Man Miles Morales and Spider-Man Remastered to an extent. It's a bit better in Morales. I think the 3D audio is definitely better than the one that comes basic with the Xbox, the Windows Sonic. But I think Dolby Atmos is still a little bit better right now.
Okay.
Now, granted, Dolby Atmos, you have to buy a license for that. But no, it's still very, very good 3D audio tech. It's very adjustable. And I think it will just get even better over time. Great.
Let's talk about the UI. So the actual, it looks so different. I mean, when we had the Xbox last week, the thing what Xbox did, it was like, oh yeah, it's just exactly like it was. We've been prepped for it already because it's been on the Xbox One for a while. So this does feel, it has a very different feel to it. It has a sort of like tile system, it's the same, but it's much more neater, isn't it? You've got 2 options, game and media. And let's talk about the audio through the headsets. What's it like?
Yeah,
with all your games and then all your kind of like your apps on one side. It's very clean. It kind of works, doesn't it? What do you think?
I have mostly positive thoughts on the UI.
Okay.
I love the little things about it as well. Like it will tell you how long you have estimated left in a mission, which has been a real lifesaver in terms of, okay, I have to go out to the shop or whatever. I need to make myself something to eat. How long is left in this mission in Spider-Man? And they will tell you there's 5 minutes left, and it's more, and it's actually quite accurate, and even overestimates more than under. So it's a really impressive piece of UI, but it does have some issues that need to be ironed out. I've had situations where game tiles will just not pop in, and I've had issues where just basic things like accessing the settings and the power are more difficult than they should be. Like, you have to pull up the command center to turn off the power. You can't just turn off the power through the menu. So
Right.
just little things like that can be a little bit annoying, but I think in terms of a foundation for a UI going forward, this is very strong. There are tons of good stuff about it. It works well. It's aesthetically pleasing. There are little touches like when you hover over a game, it will play a little song from the game for you. It's really clean. It looks nice. It's a good UI.
Yeah, it does. I did feel that it's the cleanliness of it, but it was really interesting because I was in a rush today because I was working, but also I was trying to get this updated so I can have a quick look at it before the podcast. I was going, I understand why the Xbox did what it did because I knew exactly where I was with the Xbox. So I was going, what's this? Where am I? How do I switch it off? Yeah, but again, it does look really nice. It looks really clean and it's very, very good. Let's go. I'm going to move us on quickly because I want us to get onto games. And let's start with some of the games that you've been playing on the PlayStation. William, what's the first one you'd like to talk about?
So I'd like to talk about the Spider-Man 2-pack, so to speak. So I binged through all of Spider-Man Remastered because I did not have a PlayStation 4, and this was the one game. There's always the quote-unquote jealousy game. When I talk to PlayStation fans, they always go, I don't care for Halo. Well, not always, but a lot of them go, I don't care for Halo, I don't care for Gears, but if I could play Forza Horizon 4, that would be amazing. And for me, Spider-Man was that game. And it lives up to the hype and then some. It is so good. Like, it's just a pure love letter to the series. It plays fantastic. It's sort of like the Batman Arkham games, but they have evolved it further. And I know it is a walking cliche to say this, but you really do feel like Spider-Man. And they enhance this through the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback. You feel the sides of the buildings in your hands. You feel the tension every time you swing you press your web shooters, because it's not just the easy press down. He has to press down on it, and they use the adaptive triggers to give that sensation, but it's never distracting. It just adds to the experience. It's a fantastic remaster, and by God, does the ray tracing look good.
I mean, it's a pretty looking game beforehand on the PS4, but
oh yeah, I don't doubt it.
But now, yeah, I've kind of looked at. I've got it, but I haven't. That's the one game I didn't get a chance to have a look at. And from looking at some of the clips of other people playing it, it looks amazing. It does look amazing.
And then there's Miles, which I'm about halfway through,
Wow.
and it looks even better.
Right.
Like, you can still tell at its core that Spider-Man Remastered is a PS4 game that has been brought to the next generation. Miles genuinely feels like a next generation game that they have scaled back for the PS4, but playing the PS5 version, it's fantastic. It looks incredible. The particle effects, the snow, the photo mode. I've captured some crazy screenshots.
Wow.
They're both just so good. So.
James, you got anything you want to ask about Spider-Man? As you're a big Marvel fan.
Yeah, what's the story like for Miles Morales? Is it interesting?
in Miles Morales, yeah, the story
Yeah.
is fairly decent so far. It's very different from the stories of the first one and from the movies. The one thing I will say about the story of the first game is it reminded me a lot of a mixture of Spider-Man 2 and The Amazing Spider-Man. But no, this one is different. It's unique. Miles is a great character. It really delves into the fact that he is inexperienced, but he is ready for this. And it also tackles some pretty heavy, interesting themes here that I don't think the first game really tackled as much in terms of gentrification, in terms of identity. It's really good. It's a really good story.
Great. It has a suit in it, doesn't it? I've seen clips of this, a suit that you can wear that puts you in the Spider-Verse animation.
Yes, yeah. So you can wear the Spider-Verse suit, and if you apply a suit mod that I believe is called Spider-Verse Animation, then you can play with the lower frame rate style of the movie. It's very impressive. I don't think it particularly controls great from a sense of someone who, I need sort of a basic 30 frames at the minimum, but in terms of aesthetics, it looks incredible.
And and every time you have a fight, it's saying "pow" or
Yep.
whack. Yeah, great,
Nice.
great, good. There you go. There's a bit of Spider-Man. What's another? Astrobot. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Now, this game comes free with every PlayStation 5. It's already downloaded, pre-downloaded.
It does.
And it's fair to say it's like an introduction to the controller. But it's much more than that, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, it is. It's a good 3-hour campaign. I beat it last night. It's very Nintendo-esque, but with tons of PlayStation fan service. It's a good game.
And you are, as a platformer, you're learning the controls like we talked about, blowing into the control to operate things. There's using the trackpad. There's one whole kind of section I play really briefly on a ball going down. You're in a sort of
the
like,
ball?
Yeah, and you're using the trackpad for that, which is good. It's really nice. It's free. It's a great little game. And it looks lovely. Some of it looks really lovely. It's not a groundbreaking next gen game, but it's a pretty looking platform.
It has visual pop to it. It sort of looks like the Pixar movie. It looks good.
Yeah.
It's a good looking game.
I do like there's little kind of other Astrobots that you see in the distance or you go up close to that are kind of homages to PlayStation games over the years.
Yeah, we were filming them, and it's I saw Fat Princess in one, and just little self-deprecating humor as well. There's one scene where a couple Astrobots are playing a game called Dude Raider. So
I saw the Death Stranding guy, one of the Astrobots with loads of things on his back, just walking along.
yeah.
Good. And did you? Sorry, James. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, I think I saw a Demon Souls character in Astrobot as well. I think it was a Demon Souls character. That was on Twitter.
Okay.
That's my knowledge of the game
And
in a nutshell.
Demon Souls. Have you played that, William?
Yes, I have. I'm not too far in it. I've only been up to Tower Knight because I've been busy with Spider-Man. But if Astrobot is the showcase of what this system can do haptically and through the adaptive triggers, this is the showcase of what it can do visually. It looks even better than it did in the trailers. It's just so clean. It's clean, but it's dirty. It looks like the original game reimagined today, and it plays the exact same, except a couple of the exploits have been fixed, but it's so much better than the original. And I know that's sacrilege. It's the same game, but they fixed the camera. The HDR and the graphics mean that you aren't going to fall into random bottomless pits anymore because you couldn't see what was coming. It's just as hard as the original, but significantly less frustrating. And I am having a great time with that one.
I loaded it up today. I looked at the initial CGI kind of introduction. I made a character and then I played for 2 seconds and I thought I'm going to save this because I only had 10 minutes before I had to come on here. But it did look amazing straight away. It just, from the first kind of scene in the dungeon, it looked amazing.
And the character creator, they no longer look like melted plastic babies. They look like humans. They look really good.
Yeah, so I'm going to look forward to playing that. I really am. Right, that's our PlayStation 5 little bit there. We're going to open it up now. Talk about other things we've been playing. Now, James, because we've had the Xbox. You haven't got your Xbox yet, have you, William? Your Series X.
I have not. I am currently in talks with Walmart, and the hope is that I can get it sometime in the next 2 weeks. I just want to get it before Cyberpunk at this point,
Yeah. Well, good luck. James, what's your feelings on the Xbox Series X? You've had it for a week now, a week and a bit. Are you enjoying it still?
I'm not really pushed it to its limit. But I will say that I think my experience, performance-wise, has been better with Watch Dogs. Because last week it was quite bad. Choppy. It couldn't really handle the game. I don't know if it's because it was launch day and there was problems with the server. But so far, in the past few days or so, it's been running really well. It's amazing how much you notice the quietness of the console. It's so much quieter. And everything runs pretty smoothly. I've not had any issues since.
No. I really like it now as well. I've just got used to it. I love how quick it is. I love the kind of just flick in between. I love just a very simple way of just loading up FIFA. I think the quick resume works on certain games.
I haven't tried it since.
It's Assassin's. It's great.
I'm not bothered.
No, it's not. Sometimes I'm like, I kind of just, I would switch down the game, switch them off because I like it's too quick for me. I want a breather before I load it up. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really liking it at the moment. Really, really, really liking it. Let's talk about games. What have you been playing, James, on this new powerful console?
I've been playing Family Feud via backward compatibility. Okay. So it's not even optimized. The new console. If anyone doesn't know, it's the American version of Family Fortunes. It's a game show. You can have up to 2 teams of 5 playing against each other. And you have to answer questions and give the most common answers to things like we asked 100 people to name things beginning with a certain word, or what was the day they had £1 million. So you've got to give the most common answers.
Okay.
Whoever gets them wins. It's a simple format. It's Americanized, but they've kind of made sure that it recognizes British answers. So you're not, if you like petrol, it knows what you mean.
Okay.
Even though it's gas over there. But yeah, it's got local modes for 10 people, which isn't very handy at the moment. But you can share one controller, which is quite good.
Okay.
You don't need loads of controllers. You can play online versus other families.
Oh.
That's interesting.
Have you done that?
Yeah. I've tried that. It was me versus 2. It was 1 versus 2.
Right.
It wasn't overly exciting, but there's promising signs that if you had a full family, it was good fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good game show game, and it's only £16.
Okay.
That sounds sweet.
If you like Family Feud, it's just a show brought to your home.
Is it?
I mean,
is the Xbox handling it all right? Is it okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, it looks like a game from 2012. So it's running quite smooth.
Good.
For the next gen.
Yeah. I think Richard, who's on the podcast and is a reviewer, he described in his review of the Xbox Series X as a caged animal waiting to get out, which I think was really nice.
That sounds fair.
That's really nice. Yeah. I talked about it last week because I only just got it, didn't I? Assassin's Creed, and I've just done a review for the Xbox Hub, and if you're a fan of Assassin's Creed, it's the best one in my view of the series.
What did you give it?
One, really?
Yeah, I gave it a 5. Not out yet though.
Wow.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But also, if you want to have a game that showcases a console, and the Xbox Series X hasn't got that yet, this is the game. There's moments of it that it's just like you're in awe of the kind of like how long you can see in the distance when you climb up a mountain. There's one point I climbed up to a mountain, and this is in the initial opening bit in Norway, and I was just like, oh, it's like playing Death Stranding again. These kind of huge vistas are kind of like me. And I was just happily just walking about for ages. And then when I got to the top of the mountain where I could do the famous Assassin's Creed synchronization bit where you go to the bit and it looks around the world, it's just like unbelievable. It really handles daytime amazingly. Night's fine, but it's not as, you just want it to be daytime all the time. It just looks amazing. But also with Assassin's, briefly, it's not only that, is just the mission structure is very much like Red Dead 2, and they've really borrowed from that. So it's much more about you happen upon stories. You have the main missions, but you just happen upon these kind of events, and they're brilliant. They really borrowed really heavily from there, and it's a great thing to borrow from, because these brilliant kind of side stories that just stop and finish, rather than before with some of the Assassins, you're going on a side mission. It's normally a fetch quest. Go there and meet this person and come back and tell me what, it feels like they've really played around with how missions are and the structure of missions. It's really good. And the last thing to say is the mini games are brilliant. There's loads of mini games, but there's one mini game that you do in a drinking competition, and you've just got to try to keep the control the more you drink in the centre without falling over. So you're trying to work it out. There's another thing called flighting, and flighting is like olden rap battles. And so someone would do a phrase at you, and you have a choices of like how you would respond back to the rhyme. It's really good. And the last one, there's this dice game that is, those games that you like, and I can't do like the Blizzard game, the card game.
Hearthstone?
Yes, it's a game that's built around those dynamics about that, how you do it. It's really good. It's really good as well. It's hours and hours. If you want a game that you're going to spend hours, hundreds of hours to do the whole lot, that's the one. It's brilliant. There you go.
What about didn't they promise that certain decisions you made in the game would have knock-on effects? Did you notice that?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's hard to do it without me going back and doing the other, yeah, we're doing that, and I'm not going to do that again because it's so huge. But yeah, absolutely. There's certain, you can see it's not. It's going to be, you can easily see that certain people what decision you make. Yeah. It's great. It's a great game.
Has the performance been okay? Some small things about frame rate dips and screen tearing.
I had no problem. 60 frames per second. It looks beautiful. It feels really clear. The only thing is, and I say this in a review, there's some bugs. But as I said in a review, I said I don't know an open world game that hasn't got bugs.
They all do.
As long as it doesn't kill it, which it never did, it was fine. It's a bit sort of like every now and again something would jar, something would get. I think at one point I got stuck in a barrel, but then I got out of it. And I thought the frames were fine. I don't know what it'd be like on the Xbox One or the PS4. I think that maybe they might have slightly more problems, and that would definitely. But you really notice the kind of frame rate. It's really, really clear. I loved it. I love it. I'm loving it still. Awesome. What else do you play, James?
Another big budget game, Bridge Constructor, The Walking Dead.
Ooh,
I know you're excited to hear about this one.
yeah.
It's a puzzle game, and if you played the Bridge Constructor games before, or if you haven't, you basically got to build bridges to get to safety or to get somewhere. So completely from scratch, you got to build using wood, steel, cables. But this time, because it's The Walking Dead, you've got to also try and stay away from the zombies or the walkers and kill them using weird contraptions that you build, and you've got to like knock things over by weighing them down so that it destroys things and blows them up.
Ah.
It's a really strange mix between the two worlds, but it works. And you've got some of the characters in there, like Eugene, Daryl,
Okay.
and Michonne. And they can throw grenades, they can fire arrows. And I think Eugene has got a doll that attracts the walkers to a certain area. So it's added new elements to the Bridge Constructor theme. But my God, is it difficult. It's so difficult. I mean, in puzzle games, you expect the first maybe quarter of them to be quite straightforward to get you into the game. But this one, and the second one, wow, what do I do? How on earth do I get these two cars across this massive gap without them dropping? Because you've got to factor in the weight of the cars.
Right.
You've got to be able to support them with enough materials. It's so difficult.
What do you do? Look online?
I can't tell you.
You looked online, didn't you?
It was embargoed.
Oh,
Can't tell you. It was hard.
Is it a bit like Lemons?
It's so hard.
No, it's not.
But it's more... I know what you mean. In trying to get the characters to a certain area, yes.
Okay.
But it's really about architecture.
Oh.
So if you love your architecture, it's a really cool way to test your designs. But yeah, it's so hard. I think it lets it down. It's how difficult it is. People will just take it off.
I played the Portal one, and it was so hard. So hard.
It's more difficult than that one.
I don't know.
Easy compared to this.
What are you going
Once I heard walkers, and it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
What are you going to give it?
I gave it a 3.5.
Right. Okay.
I wanted to give it higher, but it's too hard.
Okay. Good.
Sounds fair.
Now, William, you've been playing a game that we talked about last week as well. Have you? Have you been playing Tetris Effect?
Yes, I have been playing Tetris Effect. Now, I don't have a Series X with me, and I gave my 1S to my brother under the assumption the Series X was coming.
Oh, no.
But the nice thing about Xbox is I'm still able to play games over xCloud and on my laptop. And so I decided to give out Tetris Effect a try. And it is, I mean, it's Tetris, but it's so trippy. It looks nice. I love the music. It's a fun, relaxing little game. I'm not particularly good at Tetris, so I'm not that far into it. But it's just solid all around.
It's brilliant. Are you still playing it, James?
I play it every day this week.
Yeah, you do.
It's one of the first things I do in a day. Have a quick go on Tetris.
I think the sound is incredible. We talked about this last week, but I said the sound design is incredible. Incredible.
Oh yeah.
Work.
It puts me in a trance.
Yeah. I got to
I might try and get a Tetris just so I can hear that sound.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got to a point when I'm at a point when I'm on a level when it suddenly switches to the highest level, like midway through, and I can't get past it
Oh.
at the moment. So it's right at the end of one
Really
of the.
fast.
Yeah, oh my word! I'm just like, it's too
Yeah, I
much.
hate those.
Oh, it's horrible. You just got like going. So I've got to.
You got to prepare for it.
Yeah,
You got to get all the Chicharito lined up ready.
yeah. Oh damn. Yeah, I will go back to it. It's great. It's really
Right
good.
now.
I'm going to talk about
It
one
is.
more game, and that's which I'm reviewing as well, which is Call of Duty.
Never heard
Latest
of it.
Black Ops, Cold War. That's what it's called. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Do you know what? I love a Call of Duty campaign. I sort of played every one of them, I think, and I really enjoy them. And what I've done so far with this game is I've played a big chunk of the campaign. I've played some multiplayer, but I've not played zombies yet, so I won't talk about that yet. I'll do that this weekend. Do you know what? This is really good. Again, I'm playing it on the Series X, so there is some levels that just look amazing. There's a level where you're in a helicopter without spawning anything, and you're kind of firing down. But how far you can look down, the change of perspective is it looks incredible. But what I really like about this game, it's almost like a bit like a James Bond game for a while. The best bits about it is when you aren't shooting things. You'll get a mission, and they say, okay, you're here, and you have to go and find a prisoner. You have some options and thing. You got to go and find this prisoner, or you got to go and try to deliver this package in this level, and you're doing it, and you're basically creeping around, stealthing around, taking out people, trying to look for clues, and try to find a way. There's this great level when I was in a kind of a house, like a spy thriller, and I had to go in and get this person's briefcase from somewhere, this scientist. And I was going in, and there was this kind of the daughter was on the phone, and then she's on the phone, and then she sort of looks to the left, and you have to sort of creep behind. You're in the shadows. Then you go upstairs, and the dad goes, "I'm just going to come down and get my coat," and then you go, "No, I've got to go back." It really felt like a movie, and the way it looks as well. It was really, really it's really well done. But on the other hand, the kind of like the combat scenes are really, really good fun. It's good fun. You're in an action movie all the time, and it looks great, it feels great, sounds great, and I'm really enjoying it so far. But they do another great thing, which is you do your main missions, and you have a sort of hub, like it's like a warehouse with all the operatives all hanging out together. And you have this sort of evidence board that you're trying to work out this kind of story in sort of 1980s Cold War espionage. And you have side missions that are optional to take as well for the main story. But in order to do these side missions, you have to kind of solve a puzzle that you collect from the other missions to open it up. That makes sense?
That's different.
Yeah, and it's sort of like there's one you have to kind of like get the right suspects, the 3 suspects before you kind of open it up. But they're in clues that you pick up, in the main missions from other things. And then you got to kind of work it out, and then you put it in there. And it's not like you can look online, and because it's different, every game's different.
Yeah.
So so you have to kind of work it out. It's a really nice little clever kind of bit that goes with the theme of spies and stuff, but it's really kind of clever bit of kind of game design. So at the moment, I'm really loving the campaign. I had a few goes at multiplayer. Multiplayer is very Call of Duty. It feels like it's gone back a little bit. It's very like it felt like Call of Duty on the 360 a little bit. The same kind of. I don't know. It felt like it was fine. It didn't feel. I think I remember playing Modern Warfare. That felt a bit more advanced, and it didn't feel like they'd done that much with it. Sorry, what were you going to say, William?
No, it's just that's what I've been hearing. I'm hearing the campaign all around is quite good, and the multiplayer is a bit more of a step back.
Yeah.
Better, worse. Yeah.
There's a couple of new modes. I mean, the problem that Call of Duty have got is, I think, probably, especially with someone like Black Ops, is they've got the Battle Royale now. What's it called?
Warzone.
Yeah, well, that's the big draw, isn't it now? That's what everyone's playing, rather than generally the other things like deathmatch and stuff like that. So that's what I think in a sense, maybe they've gone, that's what our thing is now. That's what our concentration is that. And zombies, of course, which is always very popular. But
of course.
maybe that's what they've. They're not that worried about that. Maybe they're not putting as much energy into that. Maybe it's more about kind of trying to keep that Warzone world alive.
I'd be surprised because Call of Duty multiplayer is still quite hardcore. The people that love it really do.
Yeah, but I think there's people like who aren't maybe like me, or maybe lower than me. Yeah, you probably go. Actually, I'll go into Warzone because it's just a bit more.
Yeah.
It's a bit more fun rather than after a while when people you're just dead, aren't you? If you go into a multiplayer when people know the maps.
Seconds.
Yeah, so it's but it's good. It's a really good game. Really good game. I mean, a great thing. I'm thinking about Call of Duty, and it's like the same. We talk about FIFA, don't we? And all the other kind of Maddens and stuff like that. Is you do get a lot for your money. You get a campaign, you get the multiplayer, you can get Warzone, and everyone can get that, and also you get zombies. There's a lot there.
But we've come to expect it because it happens every year.
Yeah.
We now see that as just normal.
Yeah.
If it didn't, we'd be like, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It sometimes needs a break, like Assassin's had.
Yeah.
It needs a little break, come back, and you go, wow, they've really given us everything here.
Yeah.
I mean, it will have been almost 6 years from the Halo, and hopefully Infinite sort of revitalizes things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Whenever it arrives.
Whenever it arrives. Yeah, we'll find out soon.
What comes first? Halo or Cyberpunk? We'll find out soon.
Cyberpunk, that's going to happen now, isn't it? It's got to happen now. We don't know.
Well, we say that, and then they're going to delay it on the 9th of December and go, oh, sorry, it's coming out April 5th.
They did a video this week showing the Xbox One and Xbox Series X together, didn't they? As side by side.
Yes, and then there's a Night City Wire later tonight, or I guess tomorrow for you guys. I'm not quite sure about that. Yeah.
Is it right that the actual Series X version isn't ready for a while yet, is it? I think that's next year.
The actual the upgrade,
yes.
The upgrade, which is a shame.
Retracing,
I'd have rather seen that come out at the same time. If we're going to wait.
Yeah. It's hard, isn't it? Because I think, like Williams just said, he's ready to. He wants his Xbox Series X for Cyberpunk. There's part of me thinking, do I wait for Cyberpunk because I've got so much to play, and they're huge games at the moment.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the upgrade.
Yeah, maybe.
Play it. Have it at its best version.
Yeah. Let's just chat briefly. We haven't got long about other kind of. There's a couple other little news stories. It's getting quiet now because things are quieting down a little bit after the thing. But there's been a big announcement today, which is the Hitman makers. I've got a new James Bond game. What's it
do?
What do we know about that, William? Do you know anything? We don't know much.
All I know is I woke up early to watch this, expecting to see gameplay, and I just saw a gun barrel with IO is doing James Bond. And it's like, on the one hand, that's awesome. I can't wait to see a James Bond game. It's been, I think the last one was 007 Legends, which was just awful.
That was terrible.
Or I guess the last one, if you count the Forza Horizon 4 Bond car pack, but no, I mean, it's a perfect match of developer and intellectual property. I just wish I saw a bit more about this, I mean, it's definitely worth getting excited about. They're doing Bond, but, it's like when Crystal Dynamics announced they were doing Avengers, and everyone was like, oh, wow, they're going to do a Tomb Raider style game. That's going to be so exciting, and we got to find out, and then went silent for 3 years, and then it turned out it was Destiny Light. I mean, I am incredibly excited on paper for this, but I need to see more than just 007 Project.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I don't think it's linked to a film as well, which is a good thing, probably, is it? I think.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think that's always a good thing.
I think they were hoping to announce it at the same time as maybe hype around the film.
Right. Okay,
It
yeah.
would have been out at this time of year, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe it
Originally
comes out when
delayed.
I mean, the Hitman people doing it is very good. I mean, it kind of that makes sense completely.
Yeah, I mean, you get that secret agent vibe with our Agent 47, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It won't take much to bondify it as such.
No, exactly.
And depending when you set it, 'cause it's supposed to be the early days of Bond, so it could be the 60s. So you've got all sorts of high-tech gadgets and the 60s style.
That'd be good.
It could be really interesting.
That's a good call. Yeah, that'd be very good.
Here's a
Sorry, Willie.
Yeah. This is Daniel Craig's last one coming up. No Time to Die. What if we get this new game when the next Bond is coming out, and we can have the same actor play Bond in the game and in the movie, and sort of tie the two together? That'd be interesting.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Let's just briefly chat as well now about the Game Awards 2020 and the nominees have been announced. We won't go through them all. We'll just go through a couple of things. Let's just talk about Game of the Year. There was 6 nominees here. Animal Crossing, New Horizons on the Switch, the Doom Eternal, the Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and The Last of Us Part 2. Have you two played any of these games?
Animal Crossing.
I've got Animal Crossing. I haven't played it. I've got it.
Yeah.
I've played 4 out of those 6. And I loved Final Fantasy. I think that was a really good. The remake was brilliant. I like Ghost of Tsushima as well, but I think it's got to be for me The Last of Us Part 2. As I've talked about before, an incredible achievement, but it's already getting a load of stick online. I'm just going to do one more. There's loads of awards for score and music here. Can I just give you another category, see if you've done that? It's Games for Impact Award. Don't quite know what it means. It's If Found, Kentucky Route Zero, Spiritfarer, Tell Me Why, and Through Darkest of Times. You played any of these ones?
No.
I played Tell Me Why. I did the review for us. I thought it was fantastic. Really great game. Yeah. Have you played them?
I've played Kentucky Route Zero, which I loved in January. And I've played Spiritfarer, which again I loved. I've got to carry on with that. I haven't finished that. And I think I've done Through Darkest of Times as well. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've done that one. I reviewed that one. So that's great as well.
Which one's that one?
I think it's the World War II one. Oh, no, it's 1930s Germany one. I think it is. Maybe I've got this wrong. I'll have a look at that afterwards.
It's a strategy game.
Is it set in 1930s Germany in Berlin?
Yeah, in the third Reich.
Yeah, that is really, really good. Yeah, I love that. And Spiritfarer is brilliant, though. And so is Kentucky Route Zero. Yeah.
It's quite worrying.
What?
I've played more in the best mobile game category than any other. And I hate mobile gaming.
Maybe people will listen and go through the list and tell us what you like. What you think the best game is.
Among Us, I think that's a guaranteed winner.
Mm-hmm.
That's been phenomenal.
What would your game of the year be now, you two? Because we're going to do our own list on the Xbox Hub that we're doing the podcast.
Yes, we are.
At the moment, if you had to name one, what would be your front runner? James.
I mean, I haven't finished reviewing it yet, so I won't say probably Feud. Nexamon Extinction. The Pokemon clone.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because it's amazing how it can clone a really popular game, but still be its own game and be fantastic. And it is fantastic.
Good. That's good. William, what about you?
I will say this. At this point, the Game Awards are starting to become incredibly frustrating. Where is Ori? And where is Flight Sim?
Oh,
Those are two of the
that's
finest
good.
games of the year.
Yeah.
Flight Sim is the whole world with some of the best graphics I've seen, even on medium settings on my laptop, and that gets Best Sim Strategy
Yeah.
nominee. And Ori, which was an emotionally transcendent experience, doesn't even get a Game of the Year nomination. Like, and
Good.
it's not to say that the others aren't deserving, but I think if you'll recall 2008, when the Oscars failed to nominate The Dark Knight over traditional fare that catered more towards their tastes, they favored those. There was such a public outcry that they had to increase to a possible 10 nominees. Now, we already see 6 nominees, whereas most categories have 5. But I really think Keighley needs to sit down and say, what are we trying to do with this show? You know, should we open up to 10 spots? Because all of those games are worthy to be there. But when you look at the best reviewed games of the year, you have games like Flight Sim, Crusader Kings, Ori. You have, these are titles that are fantastic experiences. But just because they happen to be a bit more niche and don't necessarily cater to as wide a crowd of critics who vote on these, Fire Emblem last year was another perfect example, and that won the Audience Award, but didn't win, but didn't even get nominated for Game of the Year. I think it's starting to show that these are catering more towards the tastes of a select few than the tastes of the broader gaming demographic, and so a lot of the games that seem to be nominated here seem to fit the third-person shooter type categories, which I love those. I love those so much. But it was nice to see Hades nominated here. But I think we really need to strive to get a diversity of more nominations here. Why wasn't Forza nominated in 2018 as well? I don't know.
Yep,
Anyway.
good. Well said, William. Well said. Good. Right, gentlemen, we're going to have to wrap it up, I think. What are we looking forward to next week? It's all quieting down now. James, what are you looking forward to?
I'm going to watch some more Mandalorian, which I've been catching up with. It's fantastic.
Good.
And I've got another online concert this weekend.
Oh.
So I can tell you all about that one.
Oh, please, next week.
And more next week.
Good. Lovely.
Look forward to it, guys.
I will.
It's a special.
Okay. It's not a special podcast, by the way. That's not.
What?
We haven't got a special in the title, but yes, it is a special. It's a special moment. William, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
So later today, I'm going to start Sackboy and Borderlands 3 with my friend over the PS5. So I'm looking forward to that. I just placed an order. It's Black Friday here. It's the pre-Black Friday sale. Okay. So I placed an order and got Horizon. So I got Horizon, GT Sport, and Uncharted Lost Legacy for under $30 total, which was fantastic. And then as well, Mandalorian. Can't wait to see where that one goes.
Great. There you go.
Hopefully my Xbox comes. Come on.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah. I'm going to just play some games because there's nothing coming out next week. And I need to play these huge games that I've got. And I like to play Destiny again with James. So we're going to do that, don't we, James?
Yeah. I'm here.
We're going to do that with the new hijack, but I need to get these games. I think it'd be nice to have a week of just getting some games, finishing games, and getting into some of the PS5 stuff as well.
Going back to Gems of War. Yeah. Definitely.
Gems of War. Yes.
And Peggle.
Also, we just forgot to say there's Call of the Sea, which is it's on Xbox, isn't it? I think that game. That's another one on the list that's coming out on the 3rd of December. It got a release thing this week. There's so many games coming out. It's madness. So we need to get ourselves match fit. That's all I'm saying.
Football Manager.
And Football Manager as well, which we'll be playing as well.
1st of December.
Oh my word! Wow, we've got so much. I need to get a mortgage as well to pay for all this stuff. Right, gentlemen. Thank you very much. William, where can we find you if we need to?
You can find me on Twitter at DRVidGame, but don't expect a ton of posts right now. I'm very busy playing.
Brilliant. There you go. James, what about you? Where can we find you?
Instagram and Twitter at OKGKO.
Great. And you can find me at GB Briley on Twitch and Twitter. But for now, gentlemen, thank you very much. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.TheXboxHub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter at The Xbox Hub and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.